Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. This week we have Lily with us. I am very excited to share with you more about who she is and what she's all about. With that said, Lily, I wanted to give you a big warm welcome.
Thank you so much.
Of course, let's just kick it right off with the one word open. If you could give one word to describe how you're feeling right now, Lily, what would that be?
Optimistic.
Great. Why?
I feel like we're really seeing some serious progress on this global pandemic, and things are feeling like they're really beginning to open up and get back to pre-pandemic.
I love it. I feel the same way as you because being optimistic is sometimes all we got, right? Just be able to push forward, and we're starting to see that now. So that's great. Let's go right into your business. If you could take 3 to 5 minutes, share with us, what you're all about, what your business, how you got started, and who you help. That would be great.
Sure. So, just a little bit about my background. I spent 17 years in technology. My last 5 years was at Microsoft. I was fortunate to be there at a great time. After having a baby, I started a baby and kids company, which then led to meeting Serena. We, in 2 hours, formed Serena and Lily back in 2003 and built that company over 12 years, and extremely exciting ride. Major brand now today. So we're super proud of it. I decided to, get back to my entrepreneurial roots. And, one of my deep passions in the world is how do we create self-sustainability for nonprofit initiatives? How do we reimagine capitalism so that it's not an either or, for profit, nonprofit? And so it's been my deep passion to merge the two ideas together. And so what I'm building right now is literally, for lack of a better way to describe it, it's GoFundMe sitting on a conscious marketplace where anyone can raise money for any cause, for any nonprofit, for any school. And we are, building out a marketplace of amazing brands.
That is really cool. What was that aha moment that you had? Like there was that one turning point where you're thinking about the business. You're like, should I go to market with it? But what was that moment about, when you
I
came
think
across the,
that the idea, the seedling was learning that the RED initiative raised $220 million for the Global Fund for AIDS through, cause marketing and shopping. And it really, and the fact of the matter is Girl Scout cookies is an $800 million business. So, my aha moment is how do we marry our consumer buying with our causes that matter to us? And I also believe we're in inning one right now of the conscious consumer movement. We've got an existential crisis going on the planet. Gen Z understands this better than all of the baby boomers and um, their parents. Let's put it that way. And honestly, I feel like our habits have to change, and we have to wake up, and we can't just consume the way we consume for the last 20, 30, 40 years. So, that's where all of this is coming from. And I feel like right now I'm at a place where in my life where I can marry all of the things that I've known how to do and what I'm passionate about, and bring them together under one company.
that is really great. Could we shift into a recent win now? So let's talk about something that you recently experienced as a win and what you learned from it.
Well, I mean, COVID was an interesting one. We were 100% in the school channel. We built the initial side of Boone in schools. We were 100% school channel. And when COVID hit, March 13th, all schools closed across the United States, and our, $24 million year that we were forecasting basically came to zero. And so, it was a real reset moment for us to rethink and rebuild. And, I mean, talk about having to be strong in a moment of pure disaster, honestly. So, yeah.
Got it. How about a recent failure? So let's start off with what does failure mean to you? And then also if you've experienced a recent failure and what you learned from it, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, failure to me is just the friction that polishes the diamond. I think you have to look at failure always as an opportunity, a growth opportunity. And you always have to say, what do I learn from this? Hey, listen, all great leaders fail all the time. And so I think being able to pick yourself up and brush yourself off and take the learnings from it, I think is the most important thing you can do. And just greet it with almost gratitude, and the ability to self-actualize.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that with us. If you could go back in time and you were sitting across your 21-year-old self, and if you could give yourself that one piece of advice, what would that be?
I'll probably listen to my parents a little bit more. They were kind of always right when you get a little bit older and you look back. I think that young adults tend to, at least I watch my own children now that, they're 19, 17, that they tend to have all the answers and, the parents know nothing. I think as you get older, you realize that your parents were actually like, what they were saying was pretty right on.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I'm speaking to my teenagers, it starts with, I know, Dad. That's how the conversation starts. They always say, I know, Dad. I'm like, you know everything. So very cool. What's that one question, Lily, that you feel I should be asking you and I didn't ask you? What would that be?
Oh gosh. I mean, like what's my mission or goal with Boone Market? I am really hoping to build like one of the largest commerce platforms that is giving back hundreds of millions of dollars a year to the causes of people's choice. I'm hoping to shift mind around how people consume. And yeah, that's my mission. It's my legacy. And that's probably the question I'd want you to ask.
I love it. That's really powerful. It's and you're very clear and precise with this. So I know myself personally and our audience will appreciate that as well. So now I know you mentioned what you would tell yourself if you go back in time and you're 21 years old. Now for this in this session, if a leader is listening to this, a CEO or anyone that's listening to, if you give them one piece of advice that's really top of mind for you today, what would that one piece of advice be for them to have as a solid takeaway as they're listening to this?
I mean, for me right now, it's about really making sure you're spending your days on your superpowers, and recognizing where you have weakness and not being vulnerable to that, and not thinking that you have to know everything all the time or be able to do everything, but it's about surrounding yourself with that complementary skill set, and knowing when it's time perhaps to bring in a different type of leader. I mean, entrepreneurs are a special type of leader, but they're not necessarily the leaders that scale companies the best. Sometimes they do a better job at building, that team around them sooner than later. But I think it's really recognizing when you're in your sweet spot and when you're not, and being vulnerable to that and not trying to pretend that you're anything different than what you do best. So that's probably, my advice to any entrepreneur type of leader. As far as leaders that come in as hired leaders, I think you have to make sure that you're absolutely, excited to jump out of bed every day. Is this what you're considering to be meaningful work? Is this your passion? How are you getting meaning from it? I think we are extremely in need of meaning right now. And I think that COVID was a really big wake up call for many folks that, had the opportunity to slow down and actually think about it.
That is outstanding. Thank you very much. As we're coming to a close here, can you give out your website address so if people want to find out more information, they'll know where to go?
Yes, of course. So thank you. Boonmarket.com, BOON market.com. We are still in the build process of the marketplace, but in about 60 or 90 days, it'll be very robust. You'll be able to support any cause in any school in the checkout, or you can save your impact for later. But we've preloaded 140,000 schools into the database through the Great Schools API, sorry for getting technical. And we've also preloaded 9,000 charities through Charity Navigator, so you can easily support any of those causes.
Excellent. If you could sign us off with a one-word close, what would that be?
Gratitude. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you. I'm looking forward to having you back on here soon so we could catch up to see of your acceleration with your growth and everything like that. So thanks again.
Hey, thanks a lot.